If a groundbreaking new technology comes along to steal people's jobs, you'd expect the poorest folks at the bottom, the ones with zero safety net and no financial cushion, to be the most anxious, right? But a recent report by Edelman completely flips this common sense on its head. In the US, 65% of low-income earners believe AI will leave them behind for good. In the UK, that number skyrockets to 71%, but in China, that figure drops to just 36%. And in Brazil, it's even lower. Isn't that bizarre? People in developed nations pull in higher salaries and enjoy incredibly robust social safety nets. Logically, even if they get laid off, they've got a massive cushion to break their fall. So, why are they the ones terrified of being discarded by AI? And what gives people in developing countries such immense optimism? It gets even weirder. If we isolate the middle to high income groups across these countries, look at the contrast. The high earning elites in the US, UK, and Germany show an average AI anxiety level of 42%. Meanwhile, the wealthy elite in China and Brazil feel only half as anxious as their Western counterparts. What does this tell us? AI anxiety has absolutely nothing to do with how poor you are. Hi, I'm Rick. Today we're diving deep into a topic that is honestly a little terrifying. Why are people in developed countries afraid of AI, but people in developing countries aren't?
Hey guys, just a quick note. The AI voice you hear in this video is current from my real voice. I set up this way to make watch easier for you, so my awkward halting English won't throw you out. Thank you for your understanding.
Let's start with the country sitting right at the top of this fear leaderboard, the UK. This is no accident. It's a structural trap the British have spent decades digging for themselves. Just look at the breakdown of the UK's GDP, and it all makes sense. This country barely has any factories left. As the world's very first industrialized empire, Britain was also the first to shut down almost all its factories. Today, manufacturing accounts for a measly 8% of the UK's GDP. With the factories gone, what did everyone end up doing? Simple. They crowded into the service sector: finance, law, consulting, admin, accounting, media. These white-collar, elite professions prop up a staggering 81% of the UK economy and provide the vast majority of its jobs. And that is precisely the fatal flaw, because these exact industries happen to be the absolute target zone for generative AI. The IMF estimates that over two-thirds of all jobs in the UK are at risk of being automated by AI. This isn't some abstract future prediction, it is a bloodbath happening right now. A Morgan Stanley survey from early 2026 revealed that UK companies using AI for over a year have seen an average net layoff rate of 8%. That is double the global average, ranking number one among major economies. What hurts even more is that the first jobs corporations axe are the very entry-level roles meant for regular people and young grads trying to get a foot in the door. According to Adzuna, entry-level job postings in the UK have dropped by 30% since ChatGPT came out. On top of that, a report from the CIPD shows that 17% of UK employers expect AI to cut their staff over the next year. And out of those employers, 62% say that clerical, junior management, and admin roles are most at risk. In short, the very first step on the white-collar career ladder is being ripped away by AI. Meanwhile, a nearly identical and perhaps even more ruthless script is playing out in the United States. In the US, massive numbers of low-income white-collar workers are trapped in sectors most vulnerable to AI downsizing, like call centers, basic customer support, and back-office logistics. But unlike the UK, America's ultra-high income earners are just as stressed out as the middle class. The reason is simple. America is the global peak of the knowledge economy, and this time, AI is gunning straight for high IQ jobs. The CEO of Salesforce publicly stated that half of the company's workload is already handled by AI. The fintech unicorn Klarna slashed 40% of its workforce and openly admitted, yeah, that was thanks to AI. IBM and Amazon are following suit, one after the other. It used to be that tech giants laid people off because of poor financial performance. Now the excuse is simply AI is more efficient. In 2025 alone, 55,000 high-paying American jobs vanished purely because of AI. Software engineering, data analysis, senior account, legal research. The traditional pillars of the American middle class have become the epicenter of the crisis. To make matters worse, the US social safety net is incredibly weak compared to Europe. If you lose your job in Germany, government programs keep you afloat. In America, the moment you're laid off, your health insurance vanishes, your mortgage keeps ticking, and you fall below the survival line in the blink of an eye. This has triggered a massive trend in the American workplace right now: job hugging. Even if you absolutely despise your boss or your job, you don't dare quit. you hold onto that position like a life jacket. And this is far from alarmism. The latest consumer data from the University of Michigan shows that confidence in the job market among high-income Americans has plummeted to its lowest point since the late 1970s. Now, you might ask, if deindustrialization and over-reliance on services trap you in a white-collar nightmare, do countries that kept their powerhouse manufacturing sectors get a free pass? Look at Germany, and the answer is a resounding no. Germany's unemployment is low, and their welfare is incredible, but their fear runs even deeper. They aren't worried about being fired tomorrow. They are terrified that Germany as a nation will be reduced to a second-rate power in this AI wave. What is Germany's pride? Cars, precision machinery, chemicals, and meticulous engineering. As the world's third-largest economy, manufacturing accounts for over 20% of Germany's GDP. But here in 2026, Germany is facing a double whammy: the painful transition to electric vehicles and AI automation. In 2025, German manufacturing employment took a heavy hit. Industry leaders in Baden-Württemberg have warned that AI is rapidly accelerating job losses in core manufacturing. Worse yet, a massive divide has opened up between large corporations and small businesses. Giants like Siemens and BMW are aggressively pushing smart factories and cutting assembly line workers. Meanwhile, 94% of Germany's small and medium enterprises can't afford to implement AI at all. They get zero efficiency gains while getting crushed by international competitors. This has thrown Germany's massive base of middle-income skilled technicians into unprecedented anxiety. This creates the most bizarre paradox in the German job market today. On one hand, there are 109,000 vacant top-tier IT positions for machine learning DevOps and cybersecurity architects. On the other hand, junior developers are sending out 300 or 400 resumes and can't even land a single interview. Moving into 2026, as heavy industry slashes budgets, entry-level, general IT positions have plummeted by 26% from their peak. This brutal mismatch, jobs without people and people without jobs, makes Germans realize one thing: when the times leave you behind, they don't even say goodbye. So let's turn the tables. Why is it that in China, also a manufacturing superpower facing a massive tech transition, people are significantly less anxious about AI? The first reason is that China possesses a massive physical shield. Take a look at China's employment distribution. Agriculture, heavy industry, and construction absorb about 52% of the entire workforce. These are blue-collar jobs that are deeply dependent on the physical world and manual dexterity. Current generative AI can't touch them with a 10-foot pole. As for the remaining 48% in the service sector, more than half are offline: brick and mortar operations like transportation, logistics, dining, and hospitality. When you peel back the layers, you realize that in China, the roles actually exposed to basic white-collar automation like junior coders, accountants, admin staff, and customer service only account for about 10% of total employment. And then there's the killer variable: labor cost efficiency. Why are Western companies desperately trying to replace workers with AI? Because Western labor is insanely expensive. But in China, whether it's entry-level office work or offline services, human labor remains highly flexible and cost efficient. At this stage, for a company to buy expensive computing power and deploy custom AI servers can actually be more expensive than just hiring a skilled Chinese worker. Since the math of replacing humans with AI doesn't yield a massive profit margin yet, everyday anxiety is naturally diluted. Beyond industry stats, there is a psychological Grand Canyon between East and West: the clash of the fixed pie mindset versus the growth mindset. Mean Western economies have faced low growth for years, leading to a fixed pie mentality. The pie is only this big. If technology takes my slice, I am left with absolutely nothing. But the Chinese workforce has spent the last few decades riding wave after wave of explosive tech booms, from desktop internet and mobile tech to e-commerce, green energy, EVs, and solar power. This has bred a unique growth mindset. Every time technology shuffles the deck, sure, old jobs die out, but a ton of new, lucrative opportunities spring up to make you rich or level up your life. So, the current attitude of a typical Chinese worker isn't "AI is going to steal my job." It's more like, holy crap, everyone else is learning how to make money with AI. And I haven't figured it out yet? I need to go sign up for a crash course right now? The hunger for a financial upside completely eclipses the fear of unemployment. But let's be completely honest here. As manufacturing automates and services integrate AI, how long this shield will last remains a massive question mark. The pressure on basic clerks, support staff, and assembly workers will intensify over the next few years. Right now, the shockwave just hasn't fully hit, meaning the underlying anxiety hasn't shown up in the data yet. Now, what about Brazil? The optimism in Brazil reveals a much more raw survivalist reality. To put it bluntly, most people there don't even have the luxury to worry about being left behind by AI. Roughly 38% of Brazil's labor force works in the informal economy. We're talking street vendors, gig workers, and self employed hustlers. For AI to disrupt an industry, you need massive digital infrastructure and a highly formalized job market. The people at the bottom of Brazilian society are completely disconnected from that world. This creates a fascinating irony. Brazil's informal workers have the most fragile livelihoods, yet they are completely insulated from the AI shockwave. To worry about being kicked off the digital table, you have to be sitting at the table in the first place. Besides, Brazilians are dealing with much more immediate, burning issues right now: inflation, public safety, and massive wealth inequality. When you're trying to survive day to day, an AI taking your job isn't even on your radar. Add to that the fact that Brazil's job market is currently experiencing a historic boom, with unemployment dropping to 5.6%, its lowest since 2012. When people have jobs, overall societal anxiety naturally drops. When you look at the big picture, the professions staring down the barrel of an AI gun are identical across every single country: software devs, accountants, analysts, paralegals, clerks, and editors. Their day to day tasks overlap perfectly with what AI can do right now. But the most brutal part of this technological revolution is that it is quietly destroying the career ladder for the next generation. It used to be that a young grad's path was crystal clear. You start at an entry level position, grind your way up to supervisor, and eventually hit manager. Today, AI is completely vaporizing that bottom rung. Companies no longer need inexperienced juniors. Instead, the new meta is one senior expert plus three AI agents. That is why the global job market looks so surreal right now. Companies are offering astronomical salaries to hunt down top tier tech experts while ruthlessly ghosting the resumes of young graduates. Young people today shouldn't just be asking, will I get laid off? They need to ask, how on earth do I land my very first job? Alright, that's all for today's video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.